This is SoulCharge, the podcast for women leaders to take the highest level of ownership of their power to create results now. I'm your host, Stacy B. Let's dive in. Today, podcast listeners, I am delighted to be joined by the one and only Sinead Cracknell. This episode is a complete and total activation. Listen to it multiple times, pause, and come back to it again. You will find that you will take away not just one aha, not just one piece to the puzzle, but truly the whole puzzle if you listen closely. Sinead is a multidimensional business and leadership mentor for the most elite and high-achieving CEOs and visionaries, and is someone that I have worked with and work with personally. I call her my tether tickler, my frequency master, and she helps CEOs elevate their leadership wealth and impact to unprecedented levels. She's one of the top 1% mentors and fuses energetic and frequency mastery, intuition, and high caliber business strategy to create exponential income and profit acceleration for CEOs and their companies. This is an incredible episode. Buckle up and enjoy. I'm so excited for this. This is not a conversation today. This is an awakening. This is us piercing the veil and revealing what's true to those listening. And I'm so excited to dive in. The topic that I want to talk about is this topic around belief. Like, so much conversation is out there around change your thoughts, change your mindset, change the room, rearrange the fucking furniture in the room. It all looks different. But there's a conversation that I think is so profound that you are a masteress in. There's this conversation around the body that I want to talk about. Can you tell me what's the conversation do you feel like people are missing around the body and belief?
I think we need to rewind, because I think the first conversation we need to be having is about discernment. Because a lot of the beliefs that we are buying into aren't even ours. A lot of the beliefs that we are choosing as our own don't even originate from us, from our bodies, from our brains, from our minds. They originate elsewhere. And so the first topic of conversation is this belief mine? Does this belong to me? Is this something that I'm willing to buy into? Because when we're talking about, sovereign leadership, being a leader, especially stepping into this new paradigm of leadership, it's about becoming even more discerning and becoming even more conscious of the choices that we're making and what we're buying into. So that's where the conversation needs to start, is discernment. Is this mine or is this something else? Because you will feel it in the body. That's the thing. That's the piece.
There is this land for many of the listeners that may be going, what is the step before discernment? In other words, you're going through life. It's hectic. It's busy. Everything's coming at you. And oftentimes there is a lot of it of autopilot going, right? And there seems to be almost a step before discernment. Do you see it that way? Or what are your thoughts?
I think the step before discernment, especially when we're on autopilot, is if we just accept things as they are. And this is why we end up being on autopilot. We just accept the narrative, we accept the beliefs, we accept the challenges, we accept the way things are. But we're in this paradigm of wanting to become more conscious. The step before the discernment is the pause. It has to be the pause before we follow any thoughts, feelings, experiences, and start to go down the rabbit hole, like you and I like to say. can we pause first? Because if there's something coming up, whether it's a thought form, it's an emotion, it's a feeling, can we pause rather than just automatically buying into, I have to take ownership of this. This is mine. What do I need to do about it? How do I fix it? What's the next step? The pause.
One of the things that you and I have spoken a lot about is this idea of this leadership toolkit. And I see this as sort of tool number one in this episode. Well, there's already so many golden nuggets dropped, so not even a number, but a tool that I want to highlight, which is when you are going through something, there is a point in which, and it could be called a trigger or it could be called something else, that actually is before the pause, right? Or even an awareness that allows you to see that the pause is what's next. And so you're going through life, everything's coming at you. What happens before you know you have to pause?
What happens for you?
So
before you know you need to pause.
Thank you. So the thing that I think for me, what happens is two things. Either it feels like I am running so fast, and you all know Sonic the Hedgehog, and I love that like little example because it's like you don't even know where he's going. He's just going. There is this like drive behind what I'm doing that feels unconscious, right? Or that it's just going so fast that pausing isn't almost in that same sentence or equation. And so when I get in that, that's actually my clue or hint to pause, to go, wait a second, someone else is driving. So I think that's like situation one that happens. Situation two is that something feels off, or I've been triggered, or it's mostly a feeling where I feel off. I would say that's the other one.
Okay. So you're feeling it in the body, right? Or
Yep.
you're feeling it in the mind?
I think the body is absolutely having the feeling, and the mind isn't slow enough to process it.
Okay. So now we're at the body part, right? We're circling back to the original question.
Yeah.
And so it is an experience of the body. It's a sensation in the body. The mind's going to take you on that, Sonic the Hedgehog railroad, and it's going to take you as fast as possible. But if you're this is where the body comes in. If you're not connected with the body, you're not going to know. Not everybody, I don't want to generalize here, but more often than not, it's likely that you're not actually going to know when to pause because you're going so fast. And as you said, maybe that's the sign that you need to pause, when you're realizing that everything's going really, really quickly, when you can't make sense of the world, when you don't have clarity, when you are ruminating, there's a lot of noise going on, and all you want to do is trying to fix, and you're pushing and forcing. That's indicative of now is the time to pause. And along with your situation too, it's that experience in the body. So there is like this, it's interesting because I see this quite a lot. There's two different types of people. There's somebody who can feel things a lot in their body, and there's somebody who is not necessarily connected to the body as much as they could be. And so it's all very cerebral in the way that they perceive the world. And so it's about how can you combine the two, making neither one of them wrong, right? But just combine the two and bringing the body into play, bringing the body online more.
One of the things that I see the most in our clients is when I ask them where do they feel that in their body on a certain topic, they say, what do you mean? And so I wanted to just touch on sort of this process that I feel is really real, because the reality is that for women that are doing all the things for everyone else and running on that autopilot, when we say connect to the body or listen to the body, like they're not there yet. There's this step before, which is what we just talked about, which I love how you pointed out. It brings us right back to the body, because I think for a lot of women, it's almost like the way in which they've unlocked that Rubik's Cube, the way that they have figured out and fixed so many problems in the business and in life, they think that that applies to the body. And they actually couldn't be more wrong about that. And I don't mean wrong, but I'm just saying mistaken, right? For how it actually works based on what you're saying.
Yeah, and I agree. It's almost as if when you're very cerebral, trying to reconnect with the body, it's almost like going into this mode of deer in the headlights. Like, what are you talking about? How do I even do that? How do I connect with my body's here? And you start like touching and you can feel it. But there's just this complete disconnect between what you're logically and cerebrally thinking and what you're feeling in the body. It's not necessarily feeling either, it's sensation. What you experience. It's an experience that the body has. But when you're so used to driving the bus with the brain, it's really challenging. It can be challenging to just come into the body and allow yourself to be with the body. And so it's about almost like giving yourself permission, yes, the pause, but to slow things down, to breathe, to come into presence. And even that in and of itself can feel quite challenging as well. If you're so used to like, well, what does that even mean? How do I even do that? And so first, I would definitely encourage you to engage a sense of curiosity around this conversation, around what that could be for you, because it's an individual experience as well. And you get to go at your own pace. And so it's just, what we're kind of speaking into, it's about finding what's right for you in all of this. And how do I, if I am very cerebral and I want to come into the body and I want to discern, because discernment is a process and experience of the body as well. It's also connected to your intuition, right? And so I know that what you teach is very much around reconnecting people with their intuition, and marrying the mystical and the practical. And so marrying the two, you have to marry the mind and the body.
I love this conversation so much because I feel this sort of rumble in the tumble, like this awakening kind of thing. Like I almost want to start a little rap song, jingle, jingle around this, because this journey of awakening to the body as women, we've been applying the cerebral, which is actually not our birthright. It's not the natural way, right? That's more of the masculine way. And I think it would be amazing for us to share our journey of like connecting to the body. Like when you, many moons ago or eons ago, however many decades it was for you ago that you started this process, how or what was it like for you going from being totally cerebral into the body? Was there like an event or something that happened that forced you, or was it this gradual experience?
I think for me, it was a gradual experience, because I think, notice how I'm saying I think a lot, right? It was a gradual experience because I didn't actually realize that I wasn't in my body. I experienced a lot of events in my life, and the way for me to cope with those events and to cope with life was to literally not be in the body, to not feel it, to not remember. And so it was just a way of life, a way of being for me to be in my head. And so the descendants, the embodiment, it was a gradual thing, but I think it was also a choice, not necessarily a conscious choice. It was a choice of the soul. That's the way that I see it. And it's almost as if my soul decided that I was going to go on this journey of embodiment before my human really got on board. And so it felt quite jarring to begin with. And I fought it with tooth and nail, fought trying to come into the body, fought being in the body. Because I never felt comfortable in my body anyway. My body was I used to say, and I'm just going to share this here, is that I felt that my body was a source of abuse, of violation, of danger. I felt that if I was in my body, then I would be harmed in some way. And so to want to be in the body and to feel comfortable in it and embodied, it took a while. It's not just, okay, I'm going to make this decision, like decide and move. It doesn't work like that, especially if you've not felt safe in the body for such a long time and your go-to is to like overthink and ruminate. So it was a gradual process, and it's still a journey because there are still depths of me and my body that I get to, become even more intimate with.
Yes. Yeah. My experience, of course, looking back now, has been one of, this pattern or program of not enough, and I never realized how it was showing up in the body of just the body constantly needing to perform and go and, using different, whether it's caffeine or energy drinks or drugs back in the day, no matter what it was this like elevated state that I was searching for, or almost addicted to, not almost, very addicted to. And what that was constantly affirming in me was that just as I was not enough. Just chilling. If I was a sloth energy, or slow energy, or hyper energy, no matter what it was moment to moment, that it just was not in acceptance at all of self. And that journey of seeing that, and then seeing what it's connected to. And I think that's the opening that I want to crack open on in our conversation, is this. It's like we all know how powerful we are, but we don't associate that the way through is through the body. It's all this external, whatever it is, whether it's people or things or success or achievement, that's going to fill us up. And if we change that narrative to really look at the body and the way through the body, that's how we fill up ourselves, versus going to get the things that feel like they fill us up, but it's only temporary.
I feel that this conversation is quite multidimensional, because you speak to, accolades and achievements and money goals and all of those things. And also, for you, your experience was that's what made you feel as though you were worthy, that you were enough. That's what filled you up. That's what gave you a sense of fulfillment and purpose. And then on the flip side, there are others, myself included, where what made me feel like I was achieving something or gave me a sense of purpose was when I changed my body. So when I was smaller or lost weight, that's when I would feel enough or worthy. And I think that it also plays into money and leadership and everything. So it's almost like it's very dimensional, this conversation. And so it's not everybody is going to necessarily feel like, oh, when I have this thing, then I'm enough. It could be when I'm thin enough, then I have enough, or when I'm thin enough, and then I'll go and do the thing in my business that I want to do, and then I'll be worthy, and then I'll get the money. So it's like you could go down that avenue as well. Or it could be when I have enough money, then I can, when I have the accolade or the certification, then I'll be enough. Then I'll go and do the thing that I need to do. Then I'll have the money. And so it's all very linear. And so, and you're right, it is all rooted in, we're holding on to all of these different programs and values and beliefs in the body on a cellular level. And so whatever's driving the bus, it's here, it's in the body. It's not anywhere outside of us. It's not necessarily in the brain. The brain and the mind is programmed, quote unquote, programmed for safety. That's another conversation, I think. So it's the body that's really creating your reality. That's my belief. Versus, and then the brain is kind of doing its own thing.
Yeah.
It's got its own agenda.
Yes. You just spoke to this, because what you spoke to was the body is what's creating, not exactly yours, but what I heard. And I think that's the piece that there is this opportunity to bring more awareness to, which is we all think, and we've been taught, thoughts become things. And what you teach and what you embody is actually, I feel like, the root of it all. Just like how I like to say, like, I want to go for the root and pull that root out of the garden, right? Actually working with like the core of it instead of thoughts become things. Yes, that is absolutely an attractor factor, but it feels so surface versus what we're talking about.
There's a lot here. Here's my pause. Frequency become things.
Can you say that again?
Frequencies become things. So it's the frequency of the body. The body is everything. We create through us, from us, not from outside of us. And so thoughts become things there's a lot to say about that, because we can convince it works. Okay, right? It does work. Thoughts do become things. You keep thinking about something, you're going to create it. If you keep thinking that you're running out of money, guess what? You're going to continue to run out of money. But it's not necessarily the thought, it's the focus and the attention. And it's the energy and frequency that you're placing behind that focus and attention.
This is so good. Okay, so you have this idea that thoughts become things. Yes? I just had a little download of like, we're going to do a weekly TV show. It's like, okay, back on track. There's no track, so back, whatever to what I was saying. Okay, so this is so good because I feel like thoughts become things, right? But I think that there's a lot of us out here in the wild that are not looking at thoughts as the body.
No, that's right.
I think that it's we're still feeling separate. Yeah. And I think that what's being taught out there is fragmented pieces of the curriculum, of the divine curriculum. And what we are talking about here is the whole fucking caboodle.
The whole enchilada.
All with all the sauce and cheese and all the goodness. But like, I think that this is such a small thing, like a very small distinction, but actually it's groundbreaking because we are thinking of thoughts become things. I need to manage my thoughts. Emotions are my feelings. I need to manage those feelings. My body, God only knows what that is. So I'm just going to put that over here, right?
You manage that too, right?
Yeah. I have to manage my action. I need to make sure my thoughts, my emotion, my actions all align, and still, where's my body in the equation? But actually, it's all one thing, is what I'm hearing you say.
That sounds like a lot of hard work. Like, I have to do this and do this and do this, and only then am I going to have the thing. And that's the problem, is that we've been taught that we have to do something to get something. Yes. If I think this thing, then I'm going to get this thing. And therein lies the bullshit.
Say more.
Yeah. Because it's never been about doing more. It's never been about thinking about things, because this is the thing. Here's the thing. There's lots of things in thinking. We have been taught that if we think something, then we get the thing. We're completely disconnected from our bodies within that process. We think that it's just to do with the brain. And the brain is very heavily influenced by programming, by beliefs, by all sorts of things around us. If you think that we watch television and that's it, like our brains are thinking about something else. So we're not purely focused. We're very scattered, like you said, very fragmented. And so if we're thinking about something to get something, we've already decided within ourselves that we don't have enough, we're not good enough, we need to do something else. And if we don't get the thing in the timely fashion that we want the thing, then there's something wrong with us. And then we shame ourselves. And it's just this never-ending loop, a roller coaster of trying to find things wrong with us. When we do get the thing, because we've been in that cerebral mental energy, at some point we would have been trying really hard. So there's some form of sacrifice or suffering or hardship that's usually involved, because this is very much like with the thinking, there has to be a doing action as well, because you don't I'm going to think about a bottle of water and it's just going to land in my lap. Well, yeah, it has. But the body has to get on board. The body has to get on board with everything, because the body is where the unknown lives. The body is the place where we are actually sending out more information on a cellular level than we are with the brain. This is my thoughts, and this is what's coming through to share right now. This is not quote unquote fact. This is just literally what's coming through my body.
I love it. You talk about cellular level. I'm starting to lose my voice.